Alright guys, this is a contest entry for HeroHunter81. He wanted to throw in a contest there, wants you to make a video showing some of your key issues. And check out his channel, man. He hit 300 subs. I'm sure he's got many more than that. He's got great videos with great comics, always playing great music. So basically, I don't know, I'm doing this on a whim. I really wasn't going to do this because I kind of got caught up in the whole, you know, trying to keep up with key issues and the value of comics back in the 90s, and it about took me out of the hobby because I was just miserable doing it. But you know what? It's real important for you to know what you have in your collection and try to keep up with what comics are really worth. I buy them on the cheap, and I always, you know, I'm able to like turn $1 on eBay or something, or maybe in a good trade and everything. But what I did is I just kind of scanned, you know, through a few shelves and a few boxes in the back because I'm kind of organizing my comics. You know, I got over 200 comics at HeroCon last week, and I was starting to run across some of this stuff, so I just kind of pulled them out. And it's going to kill me because as soon as I make this video, I'm going to think of something better or think of another key issue I have, or I dig the key issues where, you know, it may not be worth a lot of money, but it's kind of cool, like DC Comics Presents number 52 is the first appearance of Ambush Bug. Not worth a lot of money, not important to the people, but if you like the character, it's kind of cool to like be like, oh, that's the first appearance of Ambush Bug. You know, kind of cool. Kind of makes the hobby fun when you talk about it and stuff. And you know, so let's just get started. I'm gonna go pretty quick. Anyway, I got 3 issues of Spawn number 9. This is the first appearance of Angela, and what's sad is years ago when Image was coming out, you still had comic books in the stores and stuff, and you had the comic book stores. You had them in shops and just regular stores like drug stores and stuff, and you had comic book shops. And if they went to a comic book shop, that was considered a direct market edition, and they didn't have UPC symbols on it. If they went to a store, they did, and it was a lower grade paper and stuff. So to make room for a lot of this stuff, you know, I kind of sold those, and I still have some UPC symbols on some books, and it turns out those are worth more, lower print run. And before, you know, and moving on, probably around 5 years ago, I had a whole bunch of my friends, about 4 or 5 of them, come over to my house. I'll let them go through my boxes, and I sold a ton of stuff. I had like Werewolf by Night number 32. I mean, it was in terrible condition, but it was first appearance of Moon Knight. I sold my Spider-Man number 300. So I sold a bunch of key issues, and some I've recovered, some I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. No biggie. But anyway, we'll see if this is considered a key issue, basically because as of when I'm recording this, everybody's kind of eagerly awaiting to see Angela's debut in the Marvel Universe with Age of Ultron number 10. Then she'll be in a Guardians of the Galaxy issue. I'm getting in not so much, I love the character Angela, but I'm getting in because, you know, Neil Gaiman is putting his finger in there. Alright, another one. We got 2 of these. This is Tales of the Green Lantern Corps number 2. Not going to blow you away, but pretty much everything that Jeff Johns has done on Green Lantern, and he left last month after I think like 9 years, almost a decade on the book. It led up, everything he did built from a story in this that Alan Moore did, basically where Abin Sur lands on a planet that's forbidden by the Guardians to go to, and the previous, oh man, what the Corps that was instated before the Green Lantern Corps were robot manhunters, and they wiped out this whole planet of demons more or less, and there's a few left, and one of the demons instills fear in Abin Sur and tells a prophecy of the Blackest Night coming and everything like that. So Jeff Johns pretty much took this and built his whole 9-year Green Lantern run leading up to the Blackest Night from this. Alright, and then like I said, I just went through my shelves, you know, grabbed a few things here. I got a 328 of the Incredible Hulk. That is Peter David's first issue as a writer, and whoa, what he did to the Hulk, it was just a phenomenal run. I got Hulk number 367, Dale Keown's first work. Now this is DC Superstar Presents number 17, Secret Origins of Superheroes. And, you know, you can go back and forth. In the same month, the Huntress appeared in 2 books for the first time. But where it was in the same month, you go back and forth on what her first appearance was. And depending who you talk to, depending on what site you go to, depending on what comic book price guide you go through, you know, they'll say this is the first appearance. You know, it's either or. You know, if you're that big of a Huntress fan, this is the Huntress that is the Earth 2 version, the original, and this is the daughter of the Golden Age Batman and Catwoman. That's why it's so huge, you know. It's just a cool thing to have. I'm not sure what the value is, you know. All right, and I've run across this book 3 or 4 times. I've actually bought it for $1 a couple times. I sold one copy for like $24. Then I made a lot where I stuck this in there of all new X-Men, and I think I got 26 bucks and stuff. So basically, it's the first appearance of Phantom X. I believe he was in X-Force there for a while or something, and that's why I kind of took off. It kind of cracks me up when some of these heroes characters kind of take off, because I'm kind of like, really? Number one, Phantom X is a Grant Morrison character, which, you know, there's always a little quality there. Second thing, he was a very cool character, you know. Just the whole concept of him. He was like if Wolverine in the Weapon X program was the 10th version, Weapon X goes to Weapon 10, the Roman numeral 10. I think Phantom X was like Weapon 13 or something like that. He was higher on the evolution of those experiments than Wolverine, so that's kind of cool. Alright, this one, back in the days of YouTube, when the comic book community was really small and was getting on its feet, and you know, I don't know what the exact number is, but we're in the hundreds now, and back then I know we didn't crack 100 participants, channels and stuff. And I'm glad I documented it, because I go back and look at it. One of the YouTubers back then sent me a bunch of X-Men books. I don't remember if we did a trade or if we were just talking, probably a trade. And he sent me X-Men 210, which I'm a fan of the Morlock Massacre story. It was first, you know, I was a teenager, and it was the first time you really saw the storyline that wasn't part of a limited series or a maxi series, but it took place in the X books. You know, you can follow them through. But what I forgot all about is that this is signed by Chris Claremont, you know. And a lot of people consider, like, if you consider this was the start of the X-Men going in a whole new direction. This is actually where they, like, it's kind of like they took a cleaver and they wham, and they changed the X-Men. So it's kind of like you have pre-Morlock Massacre X-Men, and then you have after Morlock Massacre X-Men. You know, and I've got the whole run. There's other key issues to this. There's the great the Wolverine Sabretooth fight. Then there was the issue 213 where Psylocke took on Sabretooth. That was drawn by Alan Davis. That was just freaking phenomenal. Alright, and going with my X-Men here, I got X-Men 169. This is the first appearance of Morlocks. Speaking of Morlock Massacre. And, you know, about a couple years ago, I had a bunch of free comics, and they had a whole bunch of X-Men books in there, like first appearance of Phoenix and Proteus and first appearance of Alpha Flight and stuff. I sold the books for $80 because they were in really rough shape. They'd been 25 years in a old woodshed and stuff, and I was very grateful to have them and get them and stuff, but I was just kind of like, man, these are in awful shape, and I was kind of like, there's other people that appreciate them more, you know. Alright, the first Alan Moore Swamp Thing is issue 20, not in the 21. That's the anatomy lesson, and that's just kind of cool to have, because you hear people talking, oh, you know, Alan Moore number 21 up, you know, anatomy lesson, great run. Then you whip this out. He had to close, he had to finish all the little plot lines and stories, the story that was going on in this issue, and then he was able to take off. Okay, you know, speaking of that, I have the anatomy lesson, one of the greatest comic stories ever written. And of course, I had the Swamp Thing 37 first appearance of John Constantine, who was, you know, oh, what was it? Maybe it was Rick Bitch or John Totleben. I think it was John Totleben, if that's how you say his name. He just kind of looked at Alan Moore and said, you know, I'm a huge fan of Sting, and I'd kind of like to make, can we do a character that looks like Sting? And that's where Constantine came from. Alright, and then, of course, you know, Neil Gaiman's Sandman #1. That's a huge key issue in my mind. This was a great, phenomenal story. This was the series that had issue, and that's a key issue too. I should have grabbed it now that I'm sitting here talking. I think it was like issue 19. Neil Gaiman and Charles Vess did a story of A Midsummer's Night Dream where it had Shakespeare performing the play that he had written about the fairies. And they, the fairies had left Earth and they had come back to watch this play. And you find out that Shakespeare was commissioned by the Sandman to write 3 plays. Okay, and The Tempest was the last one. That takes place in issue 75. But anyway, just a great series. Anyway, the significance is that it won a sci-fi award for literature, and it's the first time a comic book won that award. And then they turned around, and it's a prestigious award. Then they turned around and changed the rules where a graphic novel / comic book can never even be nominated. I think I got 2 more issues of this in the back, or maybe 1 more issue, or maybe I sold them over the years. But First Appearance of Death by Sandman. Okay, getting the older stuff now. Destroyer Duck #1, Steve Gerber, Jack Kirby. Steve Gerber had gotten to a lawsuit over the, I guess, ownership of Howard the Duck, and Jack Kirby was kind of, getting burned by Marvel and DC more or less, and was getting up in years. So they put out this book so Steve Gerber could help fund legal fees, pay for legal fees that were coming up for him suing DC, and it worked. They reached a settlement. And the other thing is that there's a villain here called Johnny Cogburn or something like that, and it's a slam at John Byrne because he just put his 2 cents worth in like he made some statements, or I think he did an interview or wrote an article in a magazine back then. I think I have it here somewhere. I think it's like Comic Scene or something, or Amazing Heroes, who knows. But anyway, he said that he is well aware and very happy that he's just simply a cog in the machine that is Marvel. Get over it. So they made him a bad guy in this. And that actually carried over to Johnny Redbeard in Savage Dragon. If you know your comic book history, some of the stuff you pick up on is kind of cool. Spider-Man 149, great Spider-Man clone. Very hot there for a while. Still a sought-after book to kind of complete the runs. People paid so much for it, I think they don't want to give it up. And plus, you get your Spider-Man fans. And if you're going to collect Spider-Man, I really recommend you get anywhere from the first 100 to 150 issues first. 150 to maybe 200 issues first, because those are the ones worth money. Here recently, they're drying up. I've seen all the way up to where the Hobgoblin appears, all the Hobgoblin story. And amazingly enough, I'm getting to that. The Todd McFarlane stuff is getting easier to find, except for Spider-Man 300. All those books used to be worth something. Spider-Man 298, the first Todd McFarlane art on here. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I have 299, but yeah, I found this for like a quarter. I about fell off. I don't know what happened to my other one. I had all those issues, so who knows what happened over the years. Another key book is J. Michael Straczynski came on the book, and before this they had started Spider-Man with a #1. I think Howard Mackey was writing, John Byrne was doing art. I don't know. Anyway, but then to say Spider-Man was just in a rough patch there, man, for a while, and J. Michael Straczynski came in, and he rejuvenated Spider-Man. The book was good and all this stuff. But then we had the 9/11 happen. This is Spider-Man #36. I had 2 or 3 of these. That's a good key issue. Just completely about Spider-Man's reaction, the hero's reactions, and it's a prose story, as in, it's not really in continuity, and it's not told like a traditional story, Of course, you got your go-to books. Batman Dark Knight, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, #1 by Frank Miller. Watchmen #1. I have, I think 8, I got a set of these in the back, and over half of them have never been opened or anything, completely mint, so they've never been opened. I got them in the special bag that Wizard came out for a while. I mean, you think Mylar is good, which it is. The backing board is attached. It comes with extra plastic on the end in case you drop it, so it doesn't even touch anything. Seals in the back, high quality plastic. Animal Man #1, this is Grant Morrison's first American work. Great story. This series started out with just supposed to be a 4-issue miniseries, and it took off to where it was an ongoing for a while, and I think Grant Morrison hung around to issue 26. I'm very proud of this one. I got another one of those old Wizard bags that they came out with. Fantastic Four #44. Now I'm going blank. I can't remember if this is the first appearance of like Gorgon and stuff, or if this is considered the first appearance in Humans. But here's what I got it for. I joined a book club like in '98 or '99 that you see in the magazines, and you could get books and stuff. And I think for like 65 cents, 85 cents, I got a Preacher trade paperback, Until the End of the World. This guy came around, knew I was in comics. We went through his stuff. He whipped this out, and I sat there and I ended up trading that one trade paperback for this book. And I looked at him, and I couldn't do it. I'm like, man, do you know what you're doing here? He's like, not my books. There you go. You know. New Gods #1, Kirby's big re-debut after becoming a huge superstar. Well, he was always a star, but you know, after helping build the Marvel Universe there in the '60s, he comes in here and bam! I was so happy to find this a couple years ago, and I did pay for this. So, got this off the dawn of eBay. Back then, I ended up getting the first 5 issues of, and this just tells you how much eBay has changed and how much postal service has gone up. I kid you not, and I'm going way back here, so I'm thinking I ended up getting the first 5 issues of Mr. Miracle in great high condition, really good condition, off of maybe 3 auctions, and including the shipping, it came to $5. So that just kind of tells you how times have changed. And that was like late 90s. I know it wasn't the year 2000 yet. I'm pretty sure I used my brother's account because he had an eBay account and it had yard sale prices back then, and it was so much better. Anyway, and then I have sold myself short on this one. For a while, I have really sold myself short on this because when I talk about this book, I say I paid $8 for it. Well, here's what happened. When I was going through the boxes, organizing and thinking about this contest, and I whipped it out, I had deja vu. I was right back in the moment. After my divorce, I think I was dating a girl, so this is like 2006, 2007. She had a timeshare in a place called Gatlinburg/Pigeon Forge. And she up and just called me one night and was like, you want to go to Gatlinburg? I'm like, sure. She's like, I'll be over there in 20 minutes. So I threw a bunch of stuff. We had a blast. I ended up in a comic book shop called Sevierville, Virginia. And I remember going through this and my eyes popped out when I saw this, and I played it cool, and I found some great first comics, trade paperbacks from the 80s of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff in color. I mean, even those are worth a little bit of money, you know. Even though they're not the originals. Yeah, I found some stuff, and I've been telling people I paid $8 for this book. But what happened was when I whipped it out, I had deja vu, and I saw the price tag on it. That day I bought $8 worth of stuff in total. I paid $2.50 for the first appearance of Hellboy. And I apologize for like doing these YouTube videos going on my 3rd year and stuff, and I think I've shown this book once or twice, and you know, I know it sounds cheesy now that I'm like, oh, it was $8. No, really, it was $2.50. You know, my bad. You know, but no, seriously, right there, $2.50 out of that shop back then. So those are my key issues. Go subscribe to HeroHunter81. I had no idea this was gonna go this long. All right, have a great weekend.